Can't remember if you talked about the frying pans while we were recording or not.
Those frying pans are up for auction.
So they're in my room because I'm going to hit play. You know when it's like, and at the end you have like a musical outro. I'm going to play the Don't Be a Doorstop theme with these pots and pans. So hang around till the end of the episode. I'll play the pots and pans. Guys, we've just been sat here for like 20 minutes chatting, realizing that the auto record setting hasn't actually worked. And Tom monologued for 20 minutes before then I joined, and I've chatted for 20 minutes. So we've failed.
Cram it into 30 seconds.
That was the best piece of content we've ever done, and we have to recreate it now. So let's pretend that you've never heard these stories, Tom, so then I can tell you again. What I think we should do is let's kick off the recording, and then I will start the recording with the story, unless you want me to start the story, and then we can kick straight into the recording. But it's up to you.
So we're going to have, well, the preamble is pretty short now, isn't it? The preamble is cut. Doorstop!
Yeah, let me do the preamble. Basically, it's my birthday tomorrow. Yeah, this will be like the times two kind of
the
preamble.
Teaser.
It's my birthday tomorrow, which I'm excited about. I'm going to be turning 34. I've been very kindly given a PlayStation 5 by my beautiful wife, Kemma. And I was playing it. Basically, I've been playing a PS4 Call of Duty. I've realized that when I played it, the graphics didn't load in when I played it online. And now finally they do. So I've kind of been brought back to where everybody else is playing. So it feels like underwhelming that like this is the standard that I was expected to have through my PlayStation 4. But some of the benefits now is like, it's a digital version, so I don't have a CD drive. It's all just like hard drive stuff. I downloaded the new Modern Warfare 3 game because I really enjoy those games. I've always enjoyed their gameplay. Like Modern Warfare 2 had some really good gameplay where you hijack a car, you then drive it, you then shoot other people on the other car, you then get out your car and jump to the other car while it's all driving because you're chasing somebody. Some of that gameplay is like the best gameplay that I've experienced. So I'm hoping that will be the case in this game. I've only played a couple of rounds. One noticeable thing.
There's pots and pans in the corner.
There's no pots and pans in the corner. Oh, there is pots and pans in the corner. You won't be able to see it if I chop it at this. It's because these are for you. And it's in my room because I need to remember to say, hey, do you want some pots and pans?
I thought there was going to be a percussion. Just you doing the doorstop on...
Yeah. It's a part of my percussion thing. So yeah, they're actually for you. So if you want them, it's a wok and 2 frying pans, but they're Tefal. Or Tefal, is that how you pronounce
good?
it?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Is that a brand?
So the good ones. It's because they don't work on our induction
fun.
cooker.
Are these
so
the giveaways for our fans?
Yeah, the
those who
giveaways if you comment. Yeah. Well, we didn't even get the 2 comments of the bust butt, so yeah, it's unlikely that anybody's going to win.
Well, we didn't put a timeline on it, to be fair. But to be fair, we did get one, Johnny Warburton.
Yeah, we did. So thanks JW.
Listening.
So yeah, for
we have to bleep out his name just in case.
No, not for legal reasons. But yeah, so the PlayStation 5 has like 800 megabyte speed rather than the PlayStation 4, which was much lower. So I'm hoping that will improve my my abilities when it comes to like less lag and so forth, which is good. So that was that.
So watch the gaming YouTube.
Yeah, watch the gaming space. Hopefully I'll start streaming that. And then funny story. On the weekend, obviously.
What was the bust butts comment from Johnny Warburton? So the rest of the 2 listeners are listening that are family members.
I actually can't remember what the bust butt thing. I'll have to look it up. Maybe we can put this in the episode. Yeah, let's put this in the episode because then it'll give me time to find it. But yeah, on the weekend, obviously, I've got the drum kit in this room, so I had to clear the bed out. I've obviously kept the mattress for soundproofing, or like acoustic kind of like vibes, because otherwise it'd be super echoey in this room, because it already is, even with this mattress. And I took the bed frame to the storage unit that we have. We just have a tiny storage unit. Put it all in the car, drive it to the storage unit, unload it. I try and get in the door, but my app's logged out, so I spend ages trying to get back into the thing. I try and take it through the door. I realize that the frame horizontally is too wide to go through the door, so I unload it onto another rack, onto another like trailer thing, and then get it through the door. I then go up the lift to my floor, go all the way to the floor, try and open the lock, and it does not open.
Sad time.
Turns out they've changed the locks. when they did some maintenance.
Dun, dun, dun.
But lo and behold, when they send you that email, there was no mention in the first line or the subject line that, hey, you need to come and get your keys. I'd gone on a Saturday when it was closed. And also, when you ring the emergency number is only to get you out the lift if you're stuck in the lift or if you're locked in the building. It's not to like help you get into your unit. So I left all my stuff. And I was like, this looks like
signal
if
you get locked in the lift anyway.
No, you don't. So I have to come all the way out to call them as well. So I propped it all near the door. Then I was like, this doesn't look covered. And I've got like a plastic sheet in the car. So I went back to the car, get the plastic sheet, and then put the plastic sheet around my items that were outside my door. Then I was like, called Bank Holiday Monday. So Sunday closed, Bank Holiday Monday closed. So like Tuesday is the day that they see it. Thankfully, I had an email today, because it's Tuesday, that they've put all my stuff in the unit, which I'm like, great. So funnily enough, they didn't tell me how many things they put in the unit, so maybe they've only put like one box because everything else got stolen.
That one sheet.
But they've got cameras. yeah, that one sheet, the plastic sheet that I put in.
Someone wanted the bed, but not the sheet.
Yeah, so thank you, Lord, that nothing got stolen, because I was worried that it would. But I took a photo and was like, Kim, are you okay with this stuff being stolen? She's like, yeah, because you always got to be okay with that. So thankfully they've done that. So that saves me going today. And then I'll be like, cool, I'm on holiday, so I'll pick up the keys some other point. But yeah, so there you go. That's our ramble part 2 that's been done in a much shorter time, because we've just been literally speaking with the recording being off, which is, I think this is the only time that that's happened, though, isn't it?
Well, we've trialed the auto record bit today, which didn't actually work.
Come on. Yeah.
So I wonder if maybe you have to log into it first because it's your like account and I'm classed as a guest, maybe. But that's something that we have to look into.
Yeah, maybe indeed. But yeah, that's it. So, do you want to add to any of the pre-ramble? Or shall I get us started?
No, we could kick in. Might as well.
Cool. All right. So.
Here's a preamble question, actually.
Okay.
Might as well have a chat.
Yeah.
I can see the yawn. Right, go into presenter mode.
I was just like, what do I do? Do you do the whole like smile, like pause, and then start?
Because if we have the doorstop intro video thing, could we just slot it in here? Can you throw it in now, and then we start? Because then it makes it easier for editing.
Fortunate, because it's like I would have to screen share. It would be a third camera, but I don't know. I don't think so. And also maybe the paid version would have this ability to like run like intro stuff, because you can still live stream here, can't you?
Yeah,
maybe people would
throw
think the OBS thing.
So
right.
Maybe we need to give that a go at some point.
But the media stuff is usually just audio, so it doesn't actually allow you to think.
Oh, okay.
Oh wait, no. Play audio and video files. Files played while recording are saved as a separate track. There we go.
Tell how much planning we put into this podcast.
Yeah, and how much we know about the tech that we use. Cool.
Do you have
we'll
access
try that for
to
next time.
Because maybe we could try it live. Well, even though we're not live, but
it might take a little bit of time to upload it. But let me see if
just longer preamble. We could talk about the YouTube ratings.
Yeah, the ranks. Yeah. Now you should summarize the 20-minute chat that you had on a solo thing.
So my solo chat was thinking, or talking to myself about Dan going for his drink, short chat, and then what should we talk about? And I was saying how we could potentially recap or have a part 2 for the ones that have viewed well on YouTube. So then I was just naming out the ones that have done well on YouTube, anything with 50 views and above. So the number 1 was Build a Legacy with No Reward. Number 2 was WWDC 23 Recap, so last year's Apple event, software Apple event, which we're half thinking of maybe doing a live one for this year, but we might trial that. Don't Be a Doorstop, episode 1. So I guess that's for everyone that was checking us out and seeing if we're any good at doing it for the first time only. How I optimize life with dyslexia. So it's interesting how the dyslexia topic came up. Bilingual dreams and dedicated thinking time. And then trauma, impact, and emotional health importance. The reason why I laughed is I read that wrong on my own. Then I read it wrong with you. But luckily the recording, I laughed and then didn't read it properly. The joys of dyslexia, guys.
Yeah, I think the legacy one is very interesting. But yeah,
I have
'cause on the-
noticed, I think we might need to do Don't Be a Doorstop in Welsh, because I was thinking this recently. I want to find more Welsh good podcasts, because the only one I listen to at the moment is the footy one that I think is sponsored by BBC Sounds or whatever, where it's the two football commentary guys. They're quite good at banter and stuff, so it's quite nice. But yeah,
there is like a
some
pod.
suggestions.
There is like a podcast website, like a Welsh podcast website, which is a directory of Welsh podcasts. And maybe you should have try and find that and have a look at that to see if there's any ones that could be of interest. I think what I find is difficult is switching over to Welsh, because then like none of the transcribing stuff, none of the like that stuff then makes sense, and also chances are people are like, don't know Welsh, so I'll drop off here because you can't create subtitles for it for just that part. It just thinks it's English subtitles throughout. So I'm like, it'd be really interesting when YouTube gets clever enough to do like multilingual videos, as in like you have somebody speaking Spanish and then somebody speaking English, and it would be able to give you the Spanish subtitles, which you could do manually yourself. But I'm saying, like, if it could automate it and you say, hey, there's 2 languages being spoken, or 3 languages, or if it just recognized it. I actually wonder if
maybe that should be our saying. Instead of cut that, it should be build it.
Yeah, that's
all the things that we come up with.
Yeah, because maybe Riverside has the ability to do multilingual stuff, but it's difficult.
It does, but I think it's selected on certain languages, I want to say.
Right.
Probably
yeah,
the classic Spanish, Italian, French.
And Welsh is not supported typically like that quickly.
Yeah, I think it's usually to 5th tier of language, probably Welsh is at the moment.
Yeah.
It's been probably bumped up a little bit with Welcome to Wrexham, but that's about it.
Yeah, that's interesting. Well, I did try and upload it, but there's a 100 megabyte limit, so I'm not going to be able to get it on. Well, anyway,
there we go.
I can't remember if you talked about the frying pans while we were recording or not.
Those frying pans are up for auction.
So they're in my room because I'm going to hit play. You know when it's like, and at the end you have like a musical outro. I'm going to play the Don't Be a Doorstop theme with these pots and pans. So hang around till the end of the episode. I'll play the pots and pans. No, I'm just giving them away to Tom. So if he wants them. Right, let's get going. I'll do the intro this time.
Hard.
Yeah.
Don't be a doorstop. Don't be a doorstop. Don't be a doorstop.
And welcome back to another episode of Don't Be a Doorstop. As you know, last week we spoke a lot about being a bus butt. And if you don't know what that means, go back to the last episode and it will explain all. However, we have not quite reached our threshold yet. So we're still waiting for those to come in. So if you have a look at the last episode, well, maybe
extra week.
Maybe an extra week, yeah. So you've got another chance to go back to the last episode once you finish this one, because we'd like you to listen to this one as well. Go back to the last episode and drop in a comment of your creativity. So bring your A game. And we have had one comment, so we'll share here. So Johnny Warburton has kindly watched and got to the end and commented, which is very kind of him. So I appreciate you spending 30 minutes of your precious time with us, or 15 minutes if you watch it twice the speed. And his suggestion is, does my butt look big in this? Question mark. Good! Exclamation mark. I think that makes sense. And Johnny has experience doing this with I-61. So, yeah. Oh, sorry, I was saying Johnny's because I have a friend called Johnny. John Warburton. Apologies, John. But yeah, he basically did stuff with I-61 and it worked quite well. And that was on the back of one bus. So I'm like, oh, right, maybe it could be like, I thought it'd be like, if you're going to advertise, it'll be back on the back on multiple buses. But if you were like, cool, we're just going to do one bus. I didn't even know you could just specify the number of buses in which you're going to be on the rear end of. So, so that's interesting. But yeah, I definitely think
you want peak times only.
Yeah, peak times only on the one bus.
People getting stuck in traffic staring at it.
Staring at our bus. So, So yeah, keep the ideas coming through. Obviously, the butt jokes basically is being persisted here, but that's fine. We want to come up with something like funny. Otherwise, it'll just be lost on people, won't it?
Separate topic. Were you a big fan of Cyclops in the X-Men?
Yes, I think so.
Thought you were, because right now you're looking like Cyclops. Because what I've done is I've connected my laptop to the TV and put you on the TV, but put my camera in front of it, so the lens is lining up with your eyes. So technically, I can't see your eyes. I'm looking into the lens, but I can see the rest of your head.
So if I just do this, then it looks like
Yeah,
laser
basically.
eyes. Yeah.
For me,
Yeah, I was a
anyway.
big fan of Cyclops, probably because he was kind of like the leader of the crew, probably.
Mhm.
And he was more kind of like the strategic one and the planner, and he wasn't the crazy one, because he was always like, Wolverine was like the off the rails, right?
The rogue one. Yeah.
Yeah, the rogue one that would do crazy stuff, but Cyclops was always like the one that could kind of like bring everybody together-ish, because obviously Wolverine was his own vibe. So yeah, it's interesting. And also, I've been playing some RuneScape as well. So you realize as a kid how long it takes, because back in the day it was dial-up, right? So
Yeah.
how long it takes to like level up. But then as an
Hours
adult,
after school.
if you just sit there, you can actually level up very quickly, because you just know, one, you know what to do, you know where things are. So I'm currently trying to get to level 60 mining, so I can enter the mining guild.
You should so stream that. Or just you just mining for like 5
People do
hours.
stream RuneScape, and people stream something called Shemu. Do you remember Shemu?
That really slow game that you pick what conversation you have with people. Is it that one?
Yes. So it's kind of like you're in Japan and you're this like kid and you walk
Shemu.
around. And
Wow.
to me, it was the first game on the Dreamcast that, like, you know, when it's like press X, press 1, and because you're fighting, and it's like press 1, and you press A or whatever, and you like punch, and then press like to the right, and then it slides out the way or whatever. So I was like, it was the first time that was introduced. Like, obviously that exists in other games, but it was my first experience of that type of gameplay. And also the narrative-driven gameplay where you choose different narratives and stuff. And remember, like, you could buy the Coke machine. And I think one of my best bits was like, you know, when you were working in the shipyard and you were doing the forklift. So you could work in the shipyard, you'd do the forklift, and you try and move these boxes to this side or whatever, and then you'd get paid for the day, and then you'd be able to use that money to buy food and Coke. It was so like
I feel like I've
normal.
got very limited memory, but actually I do remember that. I
It
think
was so
because
normal. Yeah.
the first 5 minutes, I think Tony went on it, our older brother, and I spotted the fact that you had to choose, even though I guess it's a good thing you get to choose which route you go. But because all
Yeah.
the choices were reading orientated, that was back when I used to just play football outside because I couldn't be bothered reading. So I'd be like, stuff this, I'm just going to go play football against the wall outside.
Mhm. That is true. Yeah, any sort of thing was like heavy text. But now accessibility tools have got better. You could probably enable like automatic voiceover, so it would then read out the options for you. But still, it's a slow game anyway. It'd obviously be even slower. And if that's something that you didn't enjoy, then...
Because you got into games like that. Because didn't you get into, wasn't there some sort of Star Wars Knight thing that had a similar, you get to pick where you go?
I think it was Star Wars Jedi Knight or Star Wars Outcast or something like that. It's because I broke my wrist. I went rollerblading, snapped both of my bones in my arm because I went over the spine of a pipe, like 2 half pipes, and broke my wrist. And exactly. And
then
I played
it was
Xbox.
fine. It was landing on your wrist on the other side was the bad bit.
Yeah, exactly. And then I played Xbox for a whole week, and I played that game. And that's where you get to be like the light side or the dark side. I really enjoyed that game. And then I think after that, because I played for a week, my thumb started like clicking. So I kind of like had, not arthritis, but that kind of like weird, like clicky thumbs, because I played so much. But yeah, that was a great week. Great week. So, have we done the intro already? Yeah, we have, haven't we? This week, I wanted to bring this up 2 weeks ago, but I forgot. This week, I was reminded of something I wanted to share in regards to like a marketing tactic. So, obviously, you get flyers, right? You get flyers from the kebab shops and the fish and chip shops or whatever. They flyer through, like, hey, do you want some fish and chips? Hey, you got this thing, or you got Domino's, or whatever. This was roofing people, and it was a compliment slip, which is very old school. Do you remember like designing that in CDT or whatever for like branding? You'd always do like a letterhead, a business card, and a compliment slip. That was like the standard 3 things you do. So the compliment slip, it had compliment slip of roofers, so the fixing gutters and stuff, and in handwritten font in black, so it looked different to the actual thing. It looked like it had been done in a felt tip pen, so it's kind of like they've been using this like I think there's a font that looks like a marker pen, like a highlight marker.
Okay. Yeah.
They've written in the highlight marker, be like, hey, just to let you know, we're in the area doing gutters, your neighbour's gutters, and wanted to know if you want us to do your gutter as well. Like, let us know, kind of thing. And obviously, I know that it's printed because when you look at it, you can see it's all the same color, right? It's all the same like reflection, which suggests it's not handwritten at all. But if you put it on a slant and stuff, right, and they've used this like marker pen font, I was like, this actually makes a lot of sense for any sort of company. And you'd be able to print these off, like you buy 1,000 of them, right, and get somebody to deliver them through the door. Chances are you don't even need to be in the area, as in like you don't need to have done somebody's gutters, right? You can be like, hey, it's just our area that we service. Like, hey, we've been in the area, we've done your neighbour's gutters or whatever, and we're interested if you want to do yours. And you just naturally think, like, what I find is like when people align to like, I've been meaning to do it, but I haven't done it. And then somebody be like, you know what, they've just turned up at the right time. And then you call them up and like, you book it in. So I assume that their approach is one of the most successful approaches when it comes to flyering, because a typical flyer would just be like, hey, here are the photos of all the stuff we've done previously. But the whole handwritten note stuff, and I think people typically don't like big companies. They want to trust somebody because a lot of the time, you know, tradespeople, there are good stories, there are bad stories, you know, all that stuff. So we can give the handwritten note approach. It makes more sense. So I'm like, if anybody's out there and they're a tradesperson, design a compliment slip, put like handwritten font over it and slant it a little bit with like, hey, we've been in the area, we've just done your neighbour's thing. It didn't even have any photos. So just like keep it plain and then print 1,000 of them and post it out to like your local area. Guaranteed you're going to get people responding to that stuff because it's just that personal touch, I guess.
Yeah.
Which is
because I've had that I say recently, it's probably last year ago, someone saying, I think it was like doing fencing, or it might have been like cleaning windows or something. But I think where they miss out is we're doing it to your neighbours. Because we're in the area and we've got all the stuff, we can give you a 10% discount because we might be able to slot you in at the end of the day type of vibe.
Yeah.
I feel like they miss out on that. Well, you being close to me, they're making that as like this helps you out because we could do it straight away. But if you're not in a rush, you're like, well, unless there's a discount involved, actually it's more helpful for you to be near because then you don't need to move around your stuff rather than, because I could just call you tomorrow and drag you out the next day or the following week or whatever.
Yeah.
So I feel like they miss out on because we're in the area, we can bulk do stuff. That means we save time and energy because let's say we can leave our resources on your drive or on your garret or whatever. Then it's like you can save money because the time will be quicker. Because I think the difficulty I found with doing this person along your road, I'm there going, well, probably because the breakdown of community is happening a bit. I don't know who lives down our road. So I don't know if they're going to get someone really good or really bad. Obviously, technically, I could wander up and find them if I remembered what number they gave me or whatever, or remember the name. But it's a bit different if it's like, oh, it's that guy. Like, oh, I know that guy and he does a really good job. Because ideally, you sort of want to know the neighbour, and then the neighbour to say, oh, I'm getting my gutter in this week. They're offering both of us 10% off if I find someone to get theirs done. And I've done my research and done it. So then you turn the neighbour into the salesperson and building the relationship from that way. And I guess like a classic like referral link style of they get something for recommendation.
I wonder whether or not you could. You're right. Neighbours don't speak. Could you play on that? Again, I'm just going to give this deception concept out. Not that I potentially would do it, but let's say you were like, hey, your neighbour John got his gutters done and suggested that you might also like them. And you'd basically put a generic name in there. So like, could you get away with putting a generic name in there? Like, or you could be like, John up the road said you might be interested. So he's because of his referral, you get 10% because John suggested you or whatever. You could like rope it in to it. But if you knew the street, you'd be like, there is no John on the street. And then you'd be like, these guys are liars. And then you wouldn't book them. But I find that I'm like, maybe that would be a bit like off-putting. But generally it's kind of like, could you rope in something like, and that's why the whole like, oh, your neighbor up the road had theirs done. And then that already builds the trust of like, you were good enough to do theirs. Then it's like, and maybe it is a case of they were happy and they were like, they wanted us to kind of like get in touch with you guys. Do you know what I mean? It's the whole like social proofing.
If you left the name and the number of the house, and then maybe the name that says like, and John's happy for you to go and see the work. Okay, you can't do it to an area that you've not done. But there's that element of it's giving you, I guess, free will, not free will, but freedom to go up there and have a chat because he's happy for you to check out the loft conversion or the garden redone or whatever. And then you can have a chat to see how they've done.
Yeah. I think as well, it's like a lot of the time it's about timing, because if I've never thought about it, then I've never done it. But if I have thought about it and I've not got round to doing it. So, for example, recently somebody messaged me to be like, hey, how are you doing? It's been like a year since we've done this. Like, do you want us to do A and B? And I was like, yes. And he was like, if I do A and B together at the same time, it's cheaper. So I'm like, oh, that's interesting. So again, you can do the whole like, if I come and do 2 tasks, it'll be cheaper than just doing 1 task. So I was like, yeah, sorted. So this guy made like 150 quid out of me just because he chased me to do it, right? I knew I needed to call him at some point to ask him. I just didn't get around to doing it. So like, if you can go around, just like chase people and be there at the right time. And sometimes you don't know what the right time is. So just be there, right? Somebody might have thought about you this month. And especially if you're sending like 100 messages, chances are one person has thought about it and just not got round to doing it, because it's kind of like at the bottom of your pile of tasks to do. So I think that's a good thing to.
I have wondered if people can change to more subscription based, like guttering, electrician, even like masseuse, in the sense of you pay £9 a month and you get 2 massages in the year or whatever. Because I think more people, particularly those that aren't particularly great at budgeting, but may like the idea of, I definitely want 2 massages, or I definitely want my guttering done once a year. You're paying for it a little bit each month. And at the end of the day, if the person does it correctly, if you get them starting the payment before you're doing it the following year, then you're laughing because they're basically paying for it all throughout the 12 months, and then you do the job. Because then you're like,
it's
sweet,
the whole cash flow thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like, I've got a subscription to always look after my guttering, always to check out my boiler, always to check my plugs or whatever.
This is why, like, one of the best cash flow concepts is vouchers. You know, if you bought a voucher for somebody else and you paid like £10 or whatever, the business now can use that £10 today. And then obviously when you spend the £10, like, they've already made money with your money kind of thing, right? So the £10 when you do that is like, it's fine. Like, it's that kind of like rolling concept of some sorts, because somebody else has paid it £10, so it's fine, right? It's like a bank. Like, if you want to remove your money, cool, you can, because somebody else has just put their money in, right? It's just like, but we don't know that stuff. I think there's a great
vouchers
great
coming
ideas.
soon for Don't Bid or Stop.
Yeah. £100 vouchers so you can watch all the episodes with no ads. Yeah.
Vouchers to buy stuff from our shop that is coming soon.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, we'll use those vouchers. It's basically a pre-sale. So yeah, the handwritten note is like a really good touch. Another thing that I've been thinking about recently is like the importance of not making decisions in the moment sometimes when you're face to face. So, for example, like a job interview, there's a typical strategy where it's like, you know, when I'm trying to convince you to take this job or to do something, you should never make a decision in the moment necessarily, because sometimes you're kind of like, it's sprung upon you, right? And it might not be the right decision. And what you should do is always have this like fictitious person that you need to check with. Now, it doesn't need to be always fictitious, but you could be like, that's really interesting. I'll have to go away and chat with my partner, or chat with my wife, or chat with my husband, or I'll have to like chat I'll have to speak with my coach or something. Then it means that the person you're speaking to realizes that it's not Tom that I'm having to convince. I'm having to convince the other person or the other people, but I don't have access to them. So it kind of like buys you time. And I had a situation yesterday. I can't tell all of it, but basically when somebody was trying to force me to do something that was beneficial to them, right? And in kind of like getting you flustered to make a decision in the moment and kind of like, oh, but this is usual, this is standard, like, oh, we've done this and all this stuff, and using that kind of like language to bring down your barriers so you do it, right? And like, I've even brought a pen so you can sign it. Do you know what I mean? Like that type of approach kind of throws you off. So thankfully, Kimmer wasn't with me. Like, she was in the shower, so I was like, well, I can't do it. Like, she's not here. So it's like, it's using that like third person, sorry, not third, but like additional person to kind of like add in like a boundary. So then, absolutely. So then you can go away, think about it with a clear mind, and be like, actually, what was happening there wasn't quite right. And in any other situation, if you get flustered, you'd do it, and then you would regret doing it because you didn't need to do it, for example, kind of thing. So it's like the importance of, one, like always trying to stay calm when you're in like an intense moment where somebody's trying to force you to do something or making you do something that makes you feel like, one, your gut is feeling uncomfortable, or two, you're like, this is a bit weird kind of thing, but okay, cool. Do you know what I mean? Like, you don't want to like overly brush it under the carpet because you realize, oh, it's strategic kind of thing. So
I was
like,
listening to a really good podcast about I'll search at the same time. It was the Connected Life people. And it was this week. And it was talking about having I don't want to say self-image because that's wrong, but I guess
self-worth?
No, not quite. I want to get the wording correct. That's what I'm developing a healthy sense of self. That was it.
Right, sense of self.
And it was basically saying that element of giving yourself a voice, but knowing if someone's pushing you to do something, to go, actually, I'm happy where I'm at. Like, I know myself and how I work. Actually, I don't need to fall in line with whatever you're encouraging me to do or forcing me to do. And basically, the guy is really interesting because he's basically saying how apparently this pastor was really encouraging him to, I don't know, be a part of the team or something. But then instantly he's like, okay, I'll be a part of the team. He's forcing him to do like all the odd jobs and like, I think dragging him through the mud by the sounds of things, of forcing him to do every little bit, to the point that he was sort of trying to take your power and take control. So then when he was like, right, we've got this event and I need you to do your proper job or whatever, or your proper volunteering role or whatever it was, he was like, no, actually, like, you basically used me this whole time just to take control. Actually, I'm just going to step back from the situation because I don't feel like this is right, because it's to the point of like bullying style. And then the guy's like panicking because at the end of the day, you've just took back your control of, yeah, I'm in control. I don't need to do whatever you tell me to do because you're a leader. But then they show some other examples that are a little bit more serious and powerful, that's worth listening to. But it is that element of sometimes your gut's like, something not quite right here, because you don't know, does he not like him for some reason? Like, has something bad happened behind his back? Like, there's so much that can go on and you don't always know. And at the end of the day, all you can do is do the best with the information that you've got and try and do the best judgment calls of, something's not sitting right, actually, I need to get out of this situation.
Yeah, and put in those boundaries. So one of which, the simplest of boundary, is like distance, right? In the sense of, like, that sounds interesting. Can you text it to me and I'll get back to you? You know, if you put in that whole, like, because people love to meet you face to face and put pressure on you in that moment because they know they can trigger your insecurity about like the fact that you appreciate or like you value other people's opinions, or you don't want to look like a bad person, or you don't want to look disloyal, or you don't want to look weak, or whatever, right? So they see you face to face. So if you're like, oh, that's interesting, like, you don't need to be negative about it, and you can get away with not even saying no in the moment, right? Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I'll have a think about it. Can you text it to me? So then they text it to you, and then you have that like buffer, right? Now it's like it's like a text communication thing, or like, oh, can you send it to me in email? Then it's like, cool, it's written down. You have a log of it, and it kind of puts a bit of distance, so then you can have a clear mind to be like thinking about it. Or you can be like, oh, I'll have to check with my wife or whatever. In his case, right, I'll check with my wife or check with my family or whatever. Then later on, he can come back and kind of like say, so we've had a chat, and actually I can't do it. And it doesn't need to be overly negative. It doesn't need to be like, no, how dare you that you asked me, or whatever. It can all still be amicable, so you don't come across as like difficult or whatever like thing you're trying to avoid. But it's funny, you come to realize that people a lot of the time, most of the time, come from their own perspectives and their own prerogatives, right? Their own goals. So of course they're going to do this thing because they want this particular outcome. And if you can just see what's driving them, you can see like clarity, and you can kind of like dodge between the bullets kind of thing, to be like, I'm not going to play this game, and you want to disrupt it, and kind of like change it a little bit. So then they're not kind of like just doing it because they want it and not really thinking about you, kind of thing, you know?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because there's no harm in people asking. I'm not against people asking, you know? It's more so that, like, if you don't want to do it, make sure you say you don't want to do it. Because there's nothing worse than saying yes because you felt obliged to, or you felt pressure. And then you have that, like, guilt, like, kind of like annoying feeling for ages, kind of thing. Then you do it. But sometimes people need those moments in consecutive and kind of like with greater intensity to like finally have that like self-worth or like sense of self to say no the next time, because you just remind yourself of that uncomfortable position or that uncomfortable feeling, to then be encouraged to say no, like by default. So always say no, like only say that. I think there's a saying that like you should predominantly say no unless it's a massive yes, like a hell yes vibe, like a real big yes. Which is, I think, is a fair thing, because again, you want to be mindful of your own energy and your own kind of like commitment levels and stuff, isn't it? So it's really interesting.
Talking about being mindful for energy, what have you got fun for your week off? Anything interesting as we close?
So you're familiar with the Amazon, Jeremy Clarkson, The Farm, like Deadly Squat thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're going up. So it's around like Oxfordshire type, like Cotswold type area, or like Chipping Norton even, which is probably a bit more north. So we're going to stay outside of Oxfordshire somewhere, then drive over to the farm. And they say that the farm usually gets so busy, the car park gets so busy that they have to close early. So hopefully we can go like crack of dawn kind of thing to go and see it. But then I've realised, is it half term right now?
Currently this week it's half term, yeah. So
Right. So like there'll be even more people around because it's half term. So
I think sometimes in different regions the weeks can slightly change, because I know there's a place in Liverpool that they've got 2 weeks off currently, because they, I think, pulled a week off from their summer holidays. So maybe some people might have the second week off or whatever, but who knows?
Yeah, that makes sense.
If there's loads of kids there, then yeah, there's a week off there as well.
Yeah, so we'll be spending a couple of days out, just like chilling, you know, massages, food, you know, hotel, swimming pool, that kind of vibe, which is really good. So, funnily enough, I chatted to my church leader. He's moving to Watford soon, which is a shame. And I was saying like, oh, it's my birthday soon. And he's like, oh, cool. And I was like, yeah, typically I do something small because I prefer the small thing. And he's like, oh yeah, I do too. But for my 40th, because he's over 40 now, for my 40th, he regrets not doing like a big deal. So I'm like, oh, interesting. That's good to know. It's like good to know when people tell you their regrets, because then you can kind of like factor in whether or not you want to do something similar too. So yeah, maybe for 35 or 40, you know, when I'm a millionaire at 35, you go big. Yeah, and that's it. Those are my closing thoughts.
Any questions for the community that have hopefully liked and subscribed?
I was trying to think if there's any. So one, we still want you to go back and watch the bus episode, which is literally just the last episode, which is basically don't be afraid to be seen trying. And then the question really would be, what kind of like tactic or line have you used to avoid making a decision in the moment?
Hmm.
And they can be funny as well. You can be like, sorry, I can't answer you. My dog has just pooed all over the kitchen. I need to go. So yeah, any suggestions on particular lines that you've used to put in good boundaries, essentially?
There we go.
Yeah.
Enjoy your holiday.
Thanks so much. And on that note, keep hammering those nails and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.